Y esta mañana está con nosotros, le agradezco mucho, a Oscar de Bock. Él es el CEO de DHL Supply Chain, a escala global, obviamente. Oscar, thank you very much for the interview.
Hi, thank you. Morning.
Please talk to us. What brings you to Mexico, and how do you explain DHL Supply Chain in terms of the scope and the business?
Okay. Well, digital supply chain, so we simplify, we manage parts of the supply chain of our customers. So our customers outsource warehousing, distribution, transport, or the management of total parts of the supply chain to us. And Mexico for us is a very important market. We're by far market leader here, but it's also on a global scale. It's an important contributor to our overall business. We are large here in automotive, in e-commerce, in healthcare, in consumer. So various sectors that are well represented globally, and both in warehousing and transport and in manufacturing. So the reason I'm in Mexico is we got a really big staff of people here, an important organization here, a lot of innovation, and a lot of new business and investments that we're bringing into Mexico. Hence the reason for my visit. I arrived late last night.
Me dice Oscar, le pregunto uno que cómo explica él DHL Supply Chain, por un lado, y por el otro, ¿qué hace en México? Bueno, me dice que DHL está centrado obviamente en la cadena de suministro, es subcontratado por muchas empresas que para encargarse justamente de toda la parte logística. Me dice que México es uno de sus mercados muy importantes y que están presentes en el sector automotriz, en el comercio electrónico, obviamente en el transporte, en el consumo, en la manufactura, y está en México porque, bueno, tienen una gran cantidad de personal, mucha innovación, nuevos negocios que están trayendo. Me comenta que apenas llegó ayer. How many people work at DHL Supply Chain?
I think it's about 15,000 people in Mexico at the moment. In DHL Supply Chain, that is.
Le pregunto que cuántos trabajan en la compañía, en la parte que él encabeza, y me dice que son 15,000. Son muchísimos. Now, how do you see the 2022 taking in account the problems that we saw last year in terms of the supply chain? Are there continuing, because we are seeing in China still problems, the microprocessors problem also in the automotive sector? What is your vision in 2022?
Yeah, I think the disruption of the supply chain that actually started 2.5 years ago with all the various events we all well know, started to disrupt the overall supply chain. And that is the global supply chain, being it what happened in China, being what happened with COVID, being what happened with the semiconductors. But I think what you see is there's an overall trend as well. I think the supply chain overall, the global supply chain, will never get back to what it was before. It will have to go through the various phases of resolving the disruptions that we see at the moment as well. And that has several reasons. That has also reasons because the supply chains themselves have changed. I mean, with the growth of e-commerce, you see that the gravity of a supply chain is far more at the end of the supply chain, closer to the end customer. And that means that there's far more ups and downs in the supply chain that needs to be managed. And that creates disruption continuously. At the same time, companies have realized that depending on one single market for sourcing is no longer doable. You have to have multiple sourcing for your products, for your production. So that also means that the overall supply chains get more complicated also in the future. And then there's the element of capacity. And there's capacity constraints in various elements. There's capacity constraint, as we know, in people. There's capacity constraint in trucks, in vehicles, in capacity on air and capacity on sea. That will gradually, some parts of that might be resolved, but the overall scarcity topic remains, because at the same time, with the growing complexity increase, means that their demand into the supply chain, into logistics, continues to increase. And that's actually what we see today, and what will gradually. So your question was, how do you see 22? I see 22 that we still will continue to manage and to have to manage the disruptions of the supply chains around the globe. I think it will gradually get better and better at it, but it will never That's the question I often get. When will it get back to before? That will never happen because many of the changes are there to stay.
Le pregunto a Oscar de Bo cuál es su percepción en 2022, su visión, y es una respuesta muy interesante porque me dice que desde hace 2 años y medio, por los hechos que todos conocemos, comenzaron las disrupciones en las cadenas de suministro, China, el COVID, el tema de los semiconductores. Me dice que la cadena global de suministros no regresará a su estado anterior por varias razones. Uno es porque la cadena de suministro cambió, particularmente por el comercio electrónico, porque cada vez más entidades están buscando distintas fuentes de proveeduría, es decir, el famoso sourcing. Y por otro lado, pues porque la capacidad también, digamos, quedó chica, creció muchísimo. Entonces, bueno, pues me dice que no va a regresar la cadena de suministro a sus niveles anteriores. And in this new scenario that we're facing, what is the role that a country like Mexico plays? Because you were talking about sourcing, for example, and Mexico, it's a good place to source for the North American region. That's one point. Also, from the geographical point of view, we have a very good position. But I guess we need more infrastructure, etc. How do you see the role of Mexico in this new supply chain reality?
Yeah, I think you said it well. I think Mexico actually is fruiting from this development because we actually see a growth see in Mexico because of the fact that companies will not source only at one single country anymore. So we actually see that as well. The growth in our Mexican business also thanks to the fact that Mexico is becoming more and more of an even more important sourcing point in the various supply chains. So we definitely see that. It also means that it comes with, as every opportunity, it comes with challenges. So we also need to make sure we are therefore also investing, making sure that we have the right people, that we invest in training of people, but also a lot of innovation about not only digital analytics and some robotic solutions, but also to make sure that we can manage transport better, because you mentioned the issue of infrastructure. That is, of course, a challenge with growth, whether infrastructure can catch up. And what we can do for our customers here is to make sure that we, through data analytics, through control towers, through also managing alternative ways of emission, to make sure that we optimize and help our customers to optimize within the challenge of the ever-growing volumes and complexity of supply chains in Mexico. But we see growth in Mexico because of that. That's also why we are investing in Mexico, but that's also why we are heavily focusing on the innovation agenda on the one hand, but also our ESG agenda to make sure, specifically on the emission side, to help to optimize transport there as well.
Me dice que, bueno, le pregunto cuál es el papel que juega México en este escenario nuevo de las cadenas de suministro. Me dice que sí, que México se beneficia de esto, que es muy importante, sobre todo en la parte de la proveeduría, y que por eso pues tenemos retos, y ellos están invirtiendo, entrenando personas, invirtiendo en la innovación, en el análisis de datos digitales, torres de control, invertir en infraestructura, y bueno, todo ello en el marco de su agenda ESG, justamente que tiene que ver con el tema medioambiental. How much is DHL Supply Chain is investing in Mexico this year, or what is the plan?
I can give you one amount. So there's one amount which is about 25 million euro this year. That's one way of looking at it. We're also looking at, on top of that, investing in additional infrastructure when we talk about new facilities, new operations. Because again, one thing is about capacity. The other thing is also about making sure that we continuously drive new ways on how we can better optimize operations. So this year it's about 25 million, and that's excluding further investments in real estate.
Le pregunto a Oscar cuánto están invirtiendo en México y me dice, bueno, una cifra es 25 millones de euros este año, pero eso es sin contar todo lo que tiene que ver con el tema de real estate inmobiliario, y bueno, pues eso es parte de lo que nos cuenta esta mañana. Oscar, thank you very much for the interview. It's a pleasure. Good luck here in Mexico. rest a little bit because you arrived yesterday. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Ahí escuchamos a Oscar de Bock, el CEO de DHL Supply Chain.